heard different ways, right? So obviously as a woman, this is what I've heard from men, is that I think people don't want to go with a divorced woman, for example. It's a case of like she's been with another man. It's a case of she might have like baggage. And I think people just feel like, oh, there's already issues there. I don't want to go into it because every marriage has issues. When a woman got married, you know, for example, the woman could have been really, really, you know, like on her deen or like, you know, focused and been an amazing wife. The man goes and cheats for whatever reason. They get divorced and that's it. She had zero stake in that in terms of, you know, zero doing in that, right? But now she's marked as a divorcee. And now, while she could have been the best wife to anyone, no one's giving her a chance because it's something that wasn't even her fault.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Judge Reviews podcast, the show where Glasgow superstars sit in the hot seat and tell their story. Before we dive in, big shout out to the legends who keep the show cooking: Steak Lounge and Grill, Halal Kebab House keeping it halal, the original Mr. Chef and Figos, and with support from Send Location, our marketing partner of choice. And by the way, if anyone's asking about getting a shop fitted out, speak to Quantum Builders. Okay, so I'm warning you now, this episode might make a few folk choke on their tea, and if it does, good. My guest today is a founder of Tawakal Matches, and she's doing what most people avoid: talking honestly about marriage, kids, and all the cultural nonsense that gets swept under the carpet. You know the stuff, everyone's got an opinion and nobody wants to own it. She's creating real in-person spaces for people who've been judged, overlooked, or quietly written off, and she's doing it with a zero sugarcoating and plenty of backbone. So yes, some of the topics might be uncomfortable, but if we're being honest, that's probably the point. So let's get into it. So did that sum that up good?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Better than what I could have done it with initially going on camera, yeah.
Okay, so this is like one of the conversations that people avoid, right? So I appreciate you coming on. In your own words, to explain to everyone, what is Tawakal Matches?
So, like you say, the Tawakal Matches is filling up that gap that no one really wants to talk about, let alone be in, let alone create. So, the Tawakal Matches is essentially going to be in-person matchmaking events for Muslims who either have children previously, can't have children, or do not wish to have children, because I feel like when it comes to people looking for marriage, or if their parents are looking for them, those people that fit into those categories come at the bottom of the pile, and that's even if they make it onto that list at all. Like they come at the bottom of the list, and they're quite, I would say, discarded.
Yeah. So do you, without sounding salesy, talking about gaps in the market, but do you, so I take it you feel like there's something missing?
Yeah, 100%. Like I say, it's just like people in these categories, they don't get a look in, and let alone have a whole space dedicated to them. I feel like if you're going to another event, or if you're filling out an app kind of form or whatever, you tick these boxes if you've already got children or not, but it doesn't make kind of adaptations to these people. You're like, you state it, and that's it. You're left to your own devices, and you just kind of hope and pray someone says, oh yeah, actually you seem like a nice person. Doesn't matter what you come with or don't come with, you know, it's fine. But yeah, that's the aim.
Yeah, and with that, talking about apps and other places, so I've heard of the obvious ones: Tinder, Plenty of Fish. I don't know what the ones are now, but so do you think with all these apps that's more about hooking up than it is serious stuff?
I would say so. Like if you look at, for example, Moose, which is obviously the more kind of Muslim dedicated space, I feel like it's a case of it's just people out there catfishing, or people that, you know, might not even be from the UK. Like if you're staying in the UK or whatever it is, and or typically it's just people just lying about their age, like blatantly, I would say. And then once you eventually vet out to someone good, and then you explain your situation, the good person goes as well. So it's like you've already got such a small window of people who are actually, like, you know, you could be compatible with. And then obviously if you explain, oh, I've got kids, or I don't have kids, or whatever it is, then that's it. It's kind of like, oh, hi, bye. That's it. That's as long as it lasts. So I think it's tough out there for anyone on a dating app, let alone someone who comes with a certain circumstance.
And do you think that people, and I probably say more so women, that are either divorced or have children, do you find them being sort of targeted from people overseas, to romance them with a view just to try and come over here?
I would say anyone can fall victim to that, but definitely someone who might be in a circumstance where they're not getting much luck or much hope, then someone can see, yeah, that seems like easy prey. They've not really got many options, so I'll be that option for them.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'll get something out of it, which is like, a visa or whatever.
Yeah, because culturally, which we're going to talk about culturally, when you have anyone of sort of our demographic, it tends to be harder for them to, being seen as normal in the dating space, which is why I think I've seen a lot of cases of that happen.
Yeah.
With someone's like 10 years younger.
Yeah.
It makes them feel like a princess, and then you find out that it was always just to be used, basically.
Yeah. I think it is quite tough, obviously, like I say, whether you come with a specific situation around children or not. I think for anyone, for some people who are just really want to, have that desperation, not even desperation, but because they've been doing it, trying to look for so long, eventually they just become like, I just want someone to take me. And it gets quite difficult. You see people being backed into corners, or people who are already married, and it might have started off well, and now they're backed into a corner. I feel like, it's one of those cases. If you're single, you look at the people who are married. If you're married, you look at the people who are single, and you think, oh, I wish I was in their position. I think eventually, anyone can go through hardships. Yeah. This is obviously just a very specific hardship, that I'm trying to kind of help out here.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a lot of awkward cultural questions now, because you're the expert, and you're going to get asked these, I'm assuming, from people. So do excuse.
I'll just stick this video underneath my frequently asked questions.
So before we move on to the culture and some of the misconceptions people have, which are there lots, and my dad was one of them, honestly. At what point did Tawakal Matches stop being an idea and you think it's going to be something?
So it's a really quick turnaround, actually. So I had the idea in October, and then it was launched in December.
That fast?
Yeah, it literally started with, Mum, I've got an idea. Actually, no, I was speaking to a friend, and I was like, I just had this really crazy idea, and she went, go for it. And then I got home and I went, Mum, I've had this idea. You're probably going to say no. You're probably going to be like, no, still, we'll avoid it. It's fine. And she was like, why not? And I was like, oh my God. So I feel like when I got her seal of approval, I was like, okay. Because my mum's a very she was born here, Marsha. She's got a really good head on her. Like, she understands my situation and my experiences. Yeah. And she knows me as a person. And she didn't say, no, it's fine. Yeah. She like leave it, or someone else will do it, or no, it probably exists. She was like, yeah. She was like, that's a brilliant idea. And I was like, I feel like when I got that, I was like, okay, now it feels like it's real. Yeah. And I think because I've already got a business previously, I feel like if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have had the confidence to go and start something which is completely new and niche. Yeah. So if it wasn't for already having a previous business, I would never have thought, oh, let me start with a business that's actually not going to make me very much money for a while, if anything. But I mean, who knows, right? Yeah. But this is a case of, it's not a business, it's a case of obviously just helping people. And I don't know, I would like to think it, could change people's mindsets and thinking. So yeah, October I had the idea, December website, email, form, everything was launched, and that was it.
It's very fast. Yeah. So it leads me to believe there must have been a reason for this. However, you touched on businesses or having business acumen. Where does that come from? What is that?
I feel like, so my other business, the original one, is an art business, and it was just because I was doing calligraphy as a hobby for a couple of years. Okay. Obviously, with lockdown, no one had anything to do. So, literally, and it was just a case of, I was doing calligraphy for a couple of years, and it got to a stage where my family were like getting mad at me, like, why are you not making money from this? You're actually really good. So they actually forced me into starting a business from that initially. And then, so I've had a calligraphy business for 3 years now. And I think it was just a case of, because I actually really enjoy doing it, and because it came quite naturally to me, it became easy to make a bit. It's not like I was business, it's not like I have a very like strong business mindset, or I think, oh, money this or money that. It was a case of, it just kind of, like, when people saw my talent, it opened the doors for me, as opposed to me trying to figure out, oh, how do I operate this or how do I operate that. So, and I've had the opportunity to actually work with other businesses and create signage for them. So it's been amazing. Yeah, definitely.
Good. So 3 years, so you obviously persevered, stuck at it, and without being ignorant, right? Because I don't know how old you are, right? have you always done business or this, or what got you there?
So I feel like, I'm 25. I just
Okay.
turned 25 actually. So and then people think I look about 15, and then people say I sound about, like I'm 30 in terms of my mindset. So I just like to confuse people. But yeah, I feel like when people see me, they don't actually think. I think they tend to like kind of, undermine me or think, or underestimate me, I should say. Because especially if you see my height as well, I'm very short. Good thing you can't tell that from this. But I feel like people don't really know what they're getting into when they speak with me. And when I open my mouth, they're actually like, oh no, you've actually got good things to say.
Yeah.
If you just give me a minute or two,
Yeah.
eventually something good comes out. But I think it was a case of like just doing the business, and because I really enjoyed it, and I thought the more I kept reaching new levels or milestones with the calligraphy business, I thought, you know what, it kind of spurred me on to do more. And I think just because, so like, I work part-time, so it gives me a chance to actually have the business part-time, so altogether it kind of, encompasses as one, and the goal is to eventually get rid of the job, and it'd be amazing if my business kind of provided everything for me, so inshallah that's the goal one day.
Inshallah it will. Okay, so the elephant in the room, and I'm not going to explain it. I'll let you say it in your own words, so we'll see how wise the head is. But you sound very wise. So why does culture dominate marriage conversations more than Islam?
So I think it's just because I feel like most things we do come from culture as a society. Think about like, the way you dress, whether it's from Western culture, or if you came from back home, then, you might dress more traditionally that way. And I think it's just, even your friends, naturally if you're Pakistani, the people around you tend to be Pakistani too for whatever reason it is. And I think it's just because while Islam is a way of life, that's if you take it seriously and you prioritize it. But see, if you don't prioritize Islam, or as much as you should anyway, then it's difficult. I think it becomes very much, you fall into what your parents did, or what your older siblings did, and what your aunties and your parents' sibling, all these things, and I think you naturally go from what you see around you, as opposed to, and you see culture more visibly before you see religion, I would say. You see someone's got the same skin tone as you, you don't think, oh, you're Muslim, you think, oh, you're Pakistani, it's that type of thing, just naturally. And I think it's not a bad thing to have culture. I think that really grounds you, and it gives you, your roots, your food, your things that give you nostalgic vibes. But I think it's a case of when it comes to really important, serious things, Islam should come first, or religion should come first. But I think people tend to confuse that, and especially older generations, they follow culture as if it is religion without even realizing. They go through the whole, what will other people say, not what will Allah think of you, So I think had we had a different phrase growing up of, what will Allah think if he sees you doing whatever, not what will other people think, I think things would have been completely different.
Very different. And, without sounding probably sexist, in the opposite way, women get a raw deal in our culture.
Yeah.
And I say that as growing up with my dad left when I was in primary school, and there's always double standards. He could come and go, and dictate things. And, I've got daughters, which is why I said to you, I wanted you to come on. So how do, and you might not have the answer, but how do people deal with, or women deal with, the double standards or the hypocrisy?
I think it's a case of they have to deal with it, or as another guy will say, you're not dealing with it, to get up or whatever. I think it's difficult because, or it's like you say, like, your dad did whatever he wanted to. However, if your mum did that, she probably would have been talk of the town or whatever, and I think that would have been really difficult. And then, and actually, women do play a different part in children's lives, in the end. There's a reason why it's the woman that's carrying the child for 9 months, because I don't think the dad would really have much, energy to do that for 9 months, let alone before they get into the world. And I do think things would be very different if it was men carrying the child as opposed to the women. I feel like there would be much less population in the world, because men would be like, not for me. But, they don't have that option. They can choose, what they're, what they get themselves into, and that's about it. But I think, women deal with it because I think we are stronger in a different way. People don't always see it, and obviously you get the whole debates of, no men are stronger, no women are stronger, physically, mentally, all these different things. But in the end, I think it's down to the person themselves. Anyone can be strong or weak depending on how much they allow themselves to be pushed by other people or by themselves. But I think women, and obviously speaking as a woman, I feel like, it just gets a case where you think, do you know what, if no one else is going to do it, I might as well just get on and, you know, get it done.
No, true. I mean, I don't know the religious ruling, but my gut would tell me everyone's equal.
I think everyone is equal. Everyone should be treated equal. I think that's where we get it wrong, is we think, you know, equality. I think you can be treated equally, but in different ways, if that makes sense. Like, everyone has their own strengths. Regardless, if we even put gender aside, not every woman is the same, not every man is the same.
Yeah.
But I think it's about having equal opportunities as opposed to just being treated equally. Does it, like, if one person carries 40 kg doesn't mean the next person will, or one person might carry more, carry less.
Yeah.
But it's about having the opportunity to carry something. And I think that's what it is. I think it's not a case of no one's the same. That's it.
Yeah. No, I like how you phrased that. It's about having the opportunity rather than being able to, which is fair. And so in our culture, so people that have children, you know, instead of being, when you're married and you have kids, it's a blessing. But as soon as you're separated or divorced, it becomes a burden.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a black mark, or people will think, oh, but she's got kids, or that's someone else's kids. And then people say another guy can't bring up another guy's kids.
Yeah.
So what's your views on that?
I think, do you know what, I feel like it's really difficult because I've actually thought about this recently, you know, thinking, do you know what, some guys, obviously they make it clear, you know, I can't look after another man's children or whatever it is. I think if it's a case of you don't want to get involved with a woman who has kids because you might not be financially ready for that, or you might not be, you know, mentally ready for that, you know, like just because you walk into a marriage doesn't mean you're instantly ready to take on 3 kids or whatever, however many it is, because that's different. I feel like even if I don't think I could walk into a house that's already got 4 kids, I feel like, whoa, like I fit right in height wise, like, you know. So I feel like, you know, that's different. Everyone's got different capabilities, as we just said, but I think it's a case of if you go in with the mindset of I can't be with this woman because these children belong to another man, that's where it's wrong. That's where it's incorrect. If it's an ego thing or whatever, that's I think that's the difficulty. But if you're doing it practically, like, no, I don't believe I could do this woman and her children justice, it's a good thing if you're saying no to her because you're saving her another life of grief, you know. So that part's understandable. Everyone can take on different things, but it's about your perception of her having children.
I suppose it's when people start mixing up preferences with judging people.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. If they use it as like a cloak to hide behind, then it's definitely wrong.
Yeah. Because the funny thing is, Islam's not got like cultural stuff in it at all.
No.
It's just
not at all.
This is what it is.
Yeah.
And you know what? Another thing. This is off topic, right? So I don't mean to throw you. So somebody that I know, I won't say his name, was like, ask her about second wives, third wives. You know, do we need permission, or it says we don't need permission? And from what I've ever seen, right, it's a different ways things are taken out of context or narrated. But my understanding is that you can have a second or third wife or fourth wife, even if you can treat them all equally, which I don't believe anyone can do because it's impossible. So really, people can't use that line.
Yeah. I think it doesn't even come down to, do I need her permission? Do I need to ask her this? Do I need to show her this? Blah, blah. Do you want to show your bank account first and, you know, show me you can buy a house for each, because they're not meant to live together. So can you show me that, you know, you've got a house for wife number 1? And also if you're doing it without mortgage, I'm sorry, how can you afford 4 houses without mortgages? People struggle, you know, the amount of people that have said to me, no, I'm getting a mortgage. And I think, okay, that's not for me, you know. And obviously everyone's got their free will, you know. There's a reason why Allah said, you know, here's your 5 prayers, here's a hijab. It's up to you whether you take those things or not, you know. But yeah, I feel like it doesn't even come down to permission or whatever. And also that was given during a time where, you know, there was like the war, people were widowed, you know, like, you know, things were very different back then, you know, opportunities were very different. But now I feel like, you know, most men can't, not in a bad way, but most men struggle with one house and one wife, you know. And also I feel like, you know, I've got plenty of moods, you know. I don't know if people can handle 4 of me, you know, like I just feel like, if you get one wife with 4 personalities and you get 4 wives, that's 16 different personalities. I'm sorry, you know, that's a lot to take on. But I think it's a case of, it's look at yourself before you look at, is my wife good enough that I need to have a second one? Look at yourself. Are you good enough as a husband to be 4 different women's husbands.
Yeah.
I think that's it. It starts from looking at your own self first, and then looking at someone else. I don't think I could, I don't think obviously not, you're not allowed 4 husbands anyway, but I just feel like it's not that a case of I'm trying to get at men, but I just feel like I would know my own capabilities, like I said, if I was speaking to a guy that had, a few children, I don't think I would be able to cope with that, so it's a case of what can you cope with and what can you actually take on realistically, and that's it. All you can do is if you know you can do something, try it, but if you know you can't do something, why try,
Yeah, no, you're right, it comes down to if they can. And that analogy of the personalities, it reminds me of that film. What was that film with the guy had other
Split? Yeah.
Married to Split.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I don't think there's any guy that can say they can treat everyone equally, right?
Yeah. Because you have to split your time. Forget about money.
Rubbish.
You have to split your time. If you give her 2 hours, you have to give her all these things. And I just feel like it's really stressful.
Yeah.
Sounds really stressful.
Before we go on, there was another couple of questions people asked, right? And I've not told you these, right? But it's probably the first time no one's asked any daft questions, which makes it. Do you want a sweet, by the way?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
Sure?
Yeah.
You don't want a Chilo's drink? You don't want to try this?
No, I'm okay.
Some new ones?
I'll take one home.
Oh, we'll take one home. You can let me know how it is.
I'll send you my review. There you go.
Aye. If
Don't think it'll compete with your reviews though.
Well, mine's are so simple, man. I'm just a boring.
You just say it as it is.
I'm just a boring guy. Monotone voice, I'm told. And they're from Motherwell, Chilos. That's my favourite Chilos.
Is your favourite Chilos?
Not the Motherwell one. Right, so do they cater for those that want more than one wife? You know the answer to that? No. Why do you think our community makes it so hard for someone who is divorced, won't want children, get married?
So I think community in terms of divorce, I think it's a case of you've already been married once. I think I've heard different ways, right? So obviously as a woman, this is what I've heard from men, is that I think people don't want to go with a divorced woman, for example, because, it's a case of like, she's been with another man. It's a case of, she might have like baggage. It's a case of, she might be still talking to she might still be talking to the guy, and vice versa. The guy could still be talking to the girl, all these things.
Yeah.
And I think people just feel like, there's already issues there. I don't want to go into it because every marriage has issues, but if I'm going into a marriage where she's already come with issues or he's already come with issues, then I feel like people just want to take the easy route out and not bother with someone who's already been married, unfortunately. And it's a shame because, I've put this across to people before, like, if and I'm not divorced myself, but I feel like I've said to people, like, it could be a case of a man and woman got married, for example, the woman could have been really, really, like on her dean or like, focused and been an amazing wife. The man goes and cheats for whatever reason, right? Now, grounds for divorce, they get divorced and that's it. Now, she had zero stake in that in terms of, zero doing in that, right? But now she's marked as a divorcee. And now, while she could have been the best wife to anyone, right? No one's giving her a chance because of something that wasn't even her fault. You could swap that around. Man was an amazing, incredible husband. Woman goes and cheats. And now he's left with, scars and emotional baggage as well. And he could have been amazing, but now no one's giving him a shot because, you've already been married before. I think, that divorce could have been through no fault of their own. Or, do you know, even a widow, this person's died. You've had, I hope you've not had any, part in, killing them off. But it could be a case of, like, because I've seen in so many, like, people, like, in their marriage profiles, like, at the bottom they put, like, preferences. And they go, I want to accept a divorcee. I want to accept a widow. And you just think, how do you know what happened to them? That could have been no fault of their own, but you're saying no to them purely because of a label attached to them. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone's got, different situations, different circumstances. I would say do your due diligence if you're getting involved with a divorcee because you want to know, look, were they at fault for anything? Was there domestic violence? All these things you need to obviously 100% need to be careful of that. But even if you're marrying someone who isn't divorced or widowed or whatever, you still need to be careful that they're not a criminal or whatever. You still need to. There's never ever going to be 100% like, you know, a complete, like, 100% this person is incredible. Like, you're never going to know that till you live with them, till you go through health issues together, wealth issues, whatever it is, you know, you get tested in different ways. But I think it's just, people just don't give people enough chance. You know, as soon as you say one thing, like, on paper, that's it, you're kind of written off. And I think it's a shame because people just, they just don't give you a chance.
Yeah. I had a random thought in my head about this guy I used to know in a mosque, old uncle, and he, every like 5 years, he'd go back to Packing and get a new wife. And it's terrible. Like, they're so poor over there. They're like, that's a different topic.
That was his ritual, I guess.
Have you seen that film Huck that came out?
No, I've not.
You've not?
I've heard it. People talk about it.
Oh my
I've seen it while I scrolled through Netflix, but I've not watched it. No.
I've not watched it, but my wife gave me.
Did she give you her review?
More or less. I'm like, can you just get to the highlights? And she was talking and talking, and she doesn't watch this anyway, so she'll never hear me crying about her. But she told me the full story, and it's literally how, through no fault of that woman's, her own, no fault of her own, this guy's first love gets divorced or something, or her husband dies, and then she's back on the scene, and then slowly he's working away, and then he manipulates her and brings her home, and then slowly she doesn't like sharing stuff, and then she moves into the outhouse because that was the only land that she had. And I think that was, no, it wasn't a true story, but at the end they were like, oh, this is what happened. But she basically spent 10, 15 years trying to fight for even money for maintenance.
Yeah.
And I think that's when in India they brought in a law you can only get maintenance for 3 months.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It's, as much as I don't want to say it, but it's a tearjerker, you know, kind of film. But you should watch it.
I should have watched it before I came on. You know, done my research.
Should have watched it. Right, so I've wrote this down. So infertility. So it doesn't get spoken about much, but some people can't have kids, and then they get ruled out.
Yeah. So I think that's the case of, like, obviously naturally infertility. You find this out when, either if, like, for example, like if it's the woman, you know, she could have different issues that she might know of beforehand, or like it'll be a case she's been told, oh, there's a chance you might not be able to have kids when you try or whatever. And then obviously I think most cases of infertility, they find it obviously when you're married, you know, you try and you struggle, and then obviously that's when you realize, okay, there's an issue here. Now I feel like regardless of whether, you know, whoever's issue it belongs to, I think naturally people just always assume it's the woman. And whether that's the case or not, I feel like it's just, I think that's just like another kind of paintbrush, you know, to add to their, like, okay, you've got this issue, that's it, you know. And when it's a case of, oh, actually for both, but for both genders here, if you can't have children, I feel like people tend to think you're not a woman, you're not a man, you know, how can you be if you can't do this simple thing or whatever. But in the end, if it was actually really, really that bad, I don't think God would have created people that couldn't have children. You know, like that would never have been a thing.
Yeah,
that's it. But I think it's just, I think it's a case of, you know, people struggle with these issues or something different. It could be a health issue or whatever it is, and I think that's it. It just becomes another thing to judge you for, and that's as far as it goes. You know, you don't really, once you've told people I can't have kids, you're cut off. That's it. You know, I mean, obviously the way it should go, if you're already married to someone, you're not meant to leave them over that. You know, but you know, people do leave. You know, oh, you can't have kids, I don't want you, or they might, you know, and bring in a second wife or third, whatever it is. You know, but it's just different ways. Like, you know, people just don't know how to deal with issues, and they take the easy way out. I think that's it. Yeah,
and another sort of random thought is, in our culture, if you have girls, then they're always like, oh, it's okay, you know, you'll have a boy, or so
you know, now,
daft.
okay, finally you've had a child, oh my god, amazing, but you've not had a boy, so keep going until you get the boy. And it's like, what's this all about? You know?
I think that's becoming more of a first generation thing. I think most of us are second or third generation. It's less and less a thing.
100%. I think now you see it a lot less, but obviously it definitely was a huge thing back then. I feel like now it's a case of when a man has a daughter, it becomes very much like, that's your daddy's princess, you know, like I think now it's quite like doted on. But there are still some people out there who think, oh, you didn't have a son though, what's going on there, you know?
And ironically, people say, well, not ironically, but people say you have daughters, they'll bring you luck. But ironically, my daughters did, and when I had my boy, I wasn't like this thing in my life changed. If anything, he gave me more grief, right? But with the daughters is 100% true. You know, every time that's happened, and I think a lot of people don't realize it's the male chromosome that determines the sex.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
It's the guys.
Yeah.
It's like XY or YY or whatever it is. It's the male that determines the sex of the child.
Cool.
So something you've learned.
Something I've learned, yeah.
You can use one of those.
Yeah, I'll add that into my website somewhere. But
something
did you know, fun fact of the day?
So you fall into one of these categories yourself. How personal is this work or what you're doing for you? This is what I meant. There must be a reason you're doing this.
Yeah. So there is. So obviously Tawakal Matches is for people who already have children, can't have children, or do not wish to have children. Now I fall into the category of I can't have children. Well, rather I've decided not to have children because I come with a lot of health issues. So I've got MS, which is a disability, and another thing looked down upon in our culture.
Yeah.
I think as soon as you say disability, people run. And if they stay long enough, you tell them, oh, I can't have kids, or I've chosen not to have kids. Then they're all gone, kind of thing. That's it. It's a case of like, oh, okay. So yeah, I'm doing this for people like myself because I thought it's something that I'm going through. You know, I've been looking for a few years, and I would actually say most of the rejections have come because of that. Like, you know, I feel like I've actually been rejected with the exact phrase of "you tick every box except that one," and I just think, wow. I was like, I don't think that actually makes me feel better. No, because you're still telling me I'm not good enough. So I think it's a case of like, if I'm going through it and I'm not the only one in this position, then there's other people that need this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made it. I was just like, I was actually speaking to someone and I met someone, sorry, and he asked me, he was like, oh, like, you know, kind of interested in marriage, whatever. And then so he went, what are you looking for? And I was like, oh, I'm looking for, you know, a good Muslim, good person, someone who accepts my situation. He said, oh, what's your situation? I was like, I'm glad you asked, right? I was like, oh, so I've got MS. And he went, oh, so can you have kids? And I went, I've actually decided not to have them. It's just for the best. And he went, why do you want to get married for then? And I thought, oh, okay. And honestly, at first, it did hit me, but I wasn't as raging as I thought it'd be.
Yeah.
Afterwards, I was definitely raging. But it was a case of like, oh my God, like, and this was someone who was actually born here, but 30-ish years of age. So I was like, and he's got his own business, right? Obviously, I won't,
no. You're on a roll.
I know, right? Just to watch everything come out. So no, and I just thought, so you were born here, you've got your own business, you're 30. So I'm like, you're not like a really old person with backwards thinking. You've not come from abroad with backwards thinking.
Yeah.
You've got your own business. You're, you know, quite innovative. You know, quite like, you know, you're like an entrepreneurial mindset. You know, very much for, you know, breaking down barriers, all these things. But you just asked me, why do I want to get married if I can't have kids? Like, as if that's the only reason. Like, as if that means, oh, I'm just not worthy at all. And I thought, and then it was about a month after that, that's when I was like, I just had the idea. I was like, do you know what? I just want to go around Glasgow, advocate for people with disabilities. And literally, I think I forgot the idea on that same night. And then 2 days later, I just went, oh my God, I'm going to create matchmaking events for people like me. And I was like, so yeah, that was October. And then 2 months later, I spoke to a few people about it, got a couple of people on board. And then, yeah, it came to life. So at the moment, I'm just creating like a database, just trying to get people's information together. So alhamdulillah, I've had about 20 people sign up, which is incredible. And the first 2 weeks of launching, I had 20 people sign up. So it was amazing. It's just a case of like, you know, actually getting more guys comfortable with speaking about this, and then getting them sign up. I've like, you know, I've got a really, really good team behind me supporting me. Not actually on the team of the Tawakal Matches, but just, you know, family and friends that have been incredible. And even people like yourself, like just by giving a platform, it's huge, you know. And you know, I'm not even doing it just because I don't want people to think, oh, you know, she's doing it just so she can find someone first. Do you know, honestly, I'm at the bottom of my own list at this point. I just honestly, I think the biggest thing is, like I said, I'm not doing this for money, not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for people like me. And I think if I got even at least one match out of this, I'd be honestly so incredibly grateful. But yeah, it'd be amazing if this actually made a change. Like, you know, this could be a ripple that could start something. So yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, you've got an idea, you've started it, and the biggest thing that people go wrong on is they stop.
Yeah.
Like even if it takes a year or 2 years, a lot of people don't have that in them to not give up.
I know. I think that's the hardest part as well, because it's obviously trying to keep that momentum going and not letting, you know, the negative people out there. Obviously, I'm sure people will probably see this video and have a few things to say. And I expect it, kind of thing, especially like if you are like Asian, come from our Pakistani or whatever culture. Because I did speak to someone and I was like, oh, I've got this idea, blah blah blah. He's like, what are you doing that for? And I was
Really?
like, oh, I was like, because I wanted it. Like, you know, there's people out there. Like, he was like, no. He was like, I get that. He was like, it's a really good idea. He's like, why do you want the stress for? And I was like, I know it's gonna come with stress, but it's fine. Like, you know, everything comes with stress. Like, good things, bad things come with stress. So, I'm choosing my stress.
Aye, that's mad. You'd think, you know, there's guys that can't have kids. There's women that can't have kids. So you'd think on the face of it, your job is going to be to get them linked up, because you can't just go about asking. Some people don't even get past, you know, maybe someone's appearance or how they dress on a certain day to get to that conversation.
Exactly. So this essentially what the events would have. So I've had a lot of people ask me like, okay, look, can you match us up? Like, you know, I'll give you like my phone number, I'll give you this, like, you know, can you set me up with someone? I'm like, no, I'm like, it's a case of it's going to be an in-person matchmaking event. You do your own matchmaking. I'm just providing the space and I'm providing the kind of the non-judgmental area. And I think it'll be a case of like, I still want people to have their dignity. I don't want them to be walking about with a giant label that says, oh, I already have kids, or no, I can't have kids, or I don't want to have. That's not, I know I'm all for about the advocacy here, but it's not a case of, you know, branding yourself as your baggage or issue or whatever it is. But it'd be a case of like, you know, there'd be like color coded like lanyards or like wristbands or whatever.
That's
so that
what I
way,
was gonna say.
if you're like, because you know, the event will be like, so someone who can't have kids can pair up with someone who already has them and vice versa. Like, you know, so every category can pair up with people in its own category as well as at least one other category. So I've worked out all the logistics
That's so
and stuff.
anyway.
Yeah. And then when I explain to people, it just all goes downhill. But I'm like, no, trust me, I have worked it out. So it'd be a case of like, you know, you see the colour and you think, okay, that person's got kids. Great, I'll go up to them because, you know, I'm fine with that, or I can accept someone with that. Or it'd be a case of, oh no, I know I can't accept someone with children just because, you know, if I've got medical reasons or whatever, like I just want someone who can't have kids or doesn't want them, you know, like that's how it goes. So it'd be a case of still, you know, maintaining your dignity whilst blatantly showing this is my situation, but going about it just kind of naturally because, you don't need to brand yourself with these
You know what I
things.
like about that is if I'm in that situation or in work, we do this thing where people are different mindsets and they do it by colour. So, you know, if you're a red, green, yellow, blue, it means you've got a fiery temper. Green means you're a caring person. Yellow means analytical. And blue means something else. So the point of it is they gave you Lego blocks you could have on your desk. And if everyone had them, then you would know, okay, if I go and speak to that person, this is how I might approach them.
Yeah.
So with that is like, I know if I'm looking for colours X and Y. So that's I'm gonna look for whoever's X and Y and I fancy.
Yeah.
And I'll chat to them in it.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I think it's just a case of like just going about it in the right way because obviously it's a night, it'd be a space or event or whatever just for people like this. But also, sorry, I should mention it's actually open to people who don't have these situations, but they're going in again with Tawakal and it's just they just want to find someone, they just want to get married and you know, it doesn't really matter what situation they come with. Obviously, again, you take your time out to do your due diligence, but it's open to people who can accept people with these, you know, that aren't narrow-minded and they can accept someone that comes with whatever situation. So people are allowed to attend this event if they don't fall into these children circumstances. But yeah, it's just like you say, it's you know how to approach them regardless of you know, however it is, but you know, something will signify, okay, this is a situation I have, without you going up, by the way, do you have kids, or can you have kids, or whatever. It's not that. It's not, oh, my name is Salwa, I can't have kids. It's oh, my name is Salwa, there's my wristband, that's my situation kind of thing. So it's doing it tastefully because in the end, I want to do this right. It's not just me. This will affect, it's going to affect, you know, a room full of 20, 30 people. And my like kind of duty or responsibility is for them, not myself. You know, I'm quite open. I'm quite outspoken. I'm literally sitting here telling the world, this is what I have or this is what I don't have, whatever. But not everyone's like that. And it's about me trying to protect them, I guess. So yeah, it'll take a lot of sensitivity.
So see how you're saying people that don't fit in those categories can still come along?
Yeah.
So I take it that's mainly for all the guys that are like 30 plus, still living with their parents that can't hold down a job and just fart about all day.
No, I mean, it's
Because
for
who wants to
people.
marry them?
No. Well, I feel like, but that's like saying, oh, the only person that can accept a woman that has kids is a 30-year-old with no life. So I think it's a case of, no, it's just about someone who doesn't let culture dictate them.
But they should have a category too as well, don't you think?
How?
Because if you're a guy, so sooner to get married young, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've got friends that are like 35,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they're not married
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason. But it's not a case of they've had knockbacks for X or Y. It's just either they've not found someone or the parents can't find someone. So surely you're going to have guys that fall in that bracket. It would be a good sort of target as well.
I mean, I would say those guys can go to any matchmaking event essentially, or any app or whatever. Yeah. But this obviously specifically for people who fall into the circumstances regarding children. And if they were, if they're someone who can accept someone with one of those situations, because you don't need to come to this event if you can accept all three situations. It's just if you can accept at least one of those categories, then that category will be there. And if you accept them, that's great. And vice versa, if they're happy with what you're presenting them. But I would say it's just whoever is actually, you know, open-minded in the first place, or it doesn't matter, you know, what you come with. They just want to get married in the halal correct way. And they've got like a good head on them, then essentially they're allowed to come to the event. But it's about their intentions. It's not a case of obviously, I can't get married, let me go to the bottom of the pile. That's not the case. But
maybe they also need the handheld.
Then you can go and start that. I'm trying to do a really hard thing.
I'm just trying to help this guy.
I can't help everyone, right?
Oh, that's so funny, man. You know, at least you've got your set parameters.
Yeah, exactly. You know. I mean, you know, if there's a guy out there sitting on his mum and dad's sofa, 30 plus, you know, then and he's really passionate, then he can go start his own matchmaking business.
Savage. I love that. Okay, so we're going to ask why Tawakal Matches is different. So you mentioned another app beginning with M.
Muz.
So I take it that's just a Muslim matchmaking app?
Yeah.
That's all just a generic?
That's just your generic, if you're Muslim.
So just
although then again, they let people on it who aren't Muslim, I believe. So I don't know how much they actually vet out their applicants or whatever.
Yeah, because you probably get, I can imagine, some of the people that would join those apps just to be nosy.
Yeah.
And throw people under the bus. So obviously olden days, you'd have a lady that's in the in the area, that's well known, respected. Normally it's the woman that does committee, for example, also hooks up racially, right? So
one of those aunties who just does a bit of everything, yeah.
So why do you think it's better doing the face-to-face event style organised thing through rather than going through that?
I think it's a case of, since obviously this being my own kind of like venture or whatever, I don't have time or the funds to do individual matchmaking. It's basically it's just myself doing it really, and it's just my own money kind of thing, you know. Obviously inshallah it'd be amazing, like if this, you know, goes ahead, then I start an event and then more people want it and it becomes a thing, then, you know, it could go all over UK or whatever it is. But I think for now where it's standing, because it's just myself and obviously like I've got my own health to worry about, I've got my own situation, I obviously work part-time, I've got my other business, it's just a case of I just want to create a space for people where there's no judgment, it's open, it's a welcoming, warm environment, and then it's down to people to do their own connections. I think matchmaking in itself, whether you've come with issues or not, it's so hard. So, you know, it takes a lot of time. You can't just be like, oh, you're like a nice person, you're a nice person, I think you guys can it takes so much more than that, but that's down to the person to find out. And also it's a case of you need to do your own due diligence. Like you can't just go to someone and be like, oh, these are my requirements, go find me someone with it. That's not how it works. You know, you need to know how you actually connect on a like a spiritual level, everything. So I think it's a lot of responsibility to put on someone, and I know I don't have the facilities to actually put that forward. So I'm just doing what I can by actually creating that space, and then it's up to everyone else to kind of do their part.
If you're putting in the effort to let people know how to find you, and they do, I'm sure there's lots of people in the community that can provide a good place
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I can think of like 5 places straight away: venues, restaurants, halls that can be used when they're not open, for
Yeah,
example. And if you need places, if you don't have anything in mind, then I can definitely
that's perfect. I'll make sure to
hook you
ask
up
you
with
after.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. We sort of touched on these questions already. You know, why are women question more than men? Double standards. Um, who actually? Oh, I don't know. Ask this one. Who actually benefits from keeping these topics taboo?
I think it's a case of the people who don't have issues and have already got married and have their children. They don't have to worry about things. I think it's a case of, just get on with things. That's that. Don't tell people that's fine. They don't need to find out, or they don't need to worry about it. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
I think people are just. I think everyone's just tired, right? People are just tired of dealing with their own stuff, let alone having other people deal with their
Yeah.
stuff or whatever it is. And I think it's just a case of taking the easy route out. And that might not always be the case. People could have genuine reasons for whatever their opinions are, but I'm obviously addressing the most common ones because I've seen what it's like myself. So
Yeah.
all these things that I'm saying are based off most of my own experiences, really, and it's a case of when someone does say, no, I don't want to marry you because you can't have kids, I'll be like, that's fine. I'm not going to convince you or change your mind. That's too much effort for me, honestly. But
Yeah.
why are you doing that? I'm not asking for me, but I'm asking for the other people like me, like, so it's not a case of, oh, I just back down and that's it.
Yeah.
But I go, that's totally fine, absolutely fine. But have you thought about these things? Have you thought about what would you do if you were in that situation? Or I'm sorry, but you could literally walk outside and get hit by a car. You're disabled.
Yeah.
Just, I don't think you'd be thinking about, oh, I can't have kids now, or oh, I still want a kid. You're not going to be thinking. You're going to be thinking about your own self, like,
Of
oh
course.
shit, how do I recover? So I think people just don't know how things affect them till they actually get hit with them. Maybe literally, for in some case, I don't know, obviously, but yeah. So I think it's just that people don't know how hard life can be till they're actually hit with that specific hardship.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's just human nature not to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, or you can do it, but it only opens your mind up to a certain amount of time, a certain amount of like issues for a certain amount of time, and then before you know it, you're back on with your life again. But yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say a good example of that is when you've got like a really bad virus and you're stuck in bed,
Yeah.
and then you're like, you know what? I take my health for granted just when I don't have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's like that. Where if you get ill, then think about the people that go through stuff all the time, how they must feel.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like it's even not even a virus. People go, oh, I've got a blocked nose. Oh, I actually miss just being able to spell properly,
Aye.
things like that. But then you get better, and then 2 days later, if that, 1 day later, a minute later, you're like, oh well, that's fine. I'm back to normal.
Aye.
And then it all goes out your head. You forget that kind of humility. And I'm speaking as someone. Actually, we're designed to forget things and stuff, but it's only when you're actually faced with that challenge every single day for however long it is, then yeah, that's it. Changes things. Like I got my MS at like 18. So I'd lived my life up normally till I was 18, and then everything changed actually. And that was it. 2 months later I was diagnosed, and everything changed, and it's difficult to kind of go back to thinking how you thought before, because obviously naturally you get older, things change, things in your life change, but yeah, there's no option for me to think about, oh, I can forget about what it's like to have hardships. It's just a case of, oh, you adapt everything now, and you want to show other people that you can still be a real person at the bottom of your disability or at the bottom of not having kids or whatever it is. So just trying.
Yeah, no, 100%. So before we do some of the headline questions, if you like, for our TikTok reels, quick fire questions just to make it a bit fun or a bit less serious. So what's the one food that you always say yes to?
Biryani.
Biryani?
Oh wait, I should have done desserts. Yes to all desserts.
Yes to all desserts?
Yeah.
All desserts?
Most desserts.
You don't get sick of like it's the same waffle and the same cookie dough?
No.
No?
No.
Wow.
If it's got lotus in it, then definitely I will turn that down.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I do not like Biscoff.
But
if it's not got that, I'll probably say yes.
My thing right now is San Sebastian Basque cheesecake.
Oh, okay, yeah. Cheesecake's good. I do love a good cheesecake.
Try to find a proper one that someone's baked. It's hard to find.
Yeah, I think it's a tough one. Giju Bakes is really good. On Victoria Road.
Do they do that? But
so sometimes it's on their menu.
Shut up.
They're really good.
I'm gonna
And my
go.
friends own it as well, so
Your friend owns it?
yeah.
Well, then you can find out for me.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know the next time it comes in the
Please,
menu.
man, I would love a fresh San Sebastian. Okay, what dish reminds you of your childhood?
I don't know. Like, I was gonna say like cereal or something. I don't know. I feel like I'm still like a child. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, well, to me you are anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
that's fine. Okay, we'll move past that. What food do you eat when you've had a long day?
Chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yeah, dessert.
Yeah, you know, chocolate bars used to be. They used to have good ones.
They don't taste as good as they don't taste as good anymore. Chocolate bars. So I would just go straight for dessert.
There used to be like Cadbury's Tasters, Cadbury's Secret.
I have no idea what these are.
I don't know. I'm a boomer. I'm told by my nephew. He goes, "Uncle, you're a boomer." So that's something I learned that was new. What's the best meal you've ever had anywhere?
I don't know. Probably in my mum's kitchen.
Mum's kitchen.
Don't know. I like a good nahari or a halim.
What's nahari? Is that the feet?
You've never had it? No, that's buying. That's hooves. No, I don't do that one. No, I stay away from the hooves. No, nahari's like, I don't know. It's got like a big bone in it, but it's not a hoof. And halim's quite nice. I'm quite desi when it comes to my food.
Halim's good.
Just not my mindset.
Yeah, I seen this TikTok the other day. It was some goats running, and there was a song on it goes, "My nahari's running away." No, my pie's running away.
That's
a pie. So gross, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of that.
Do you like burgers?
Do you know, I actually had a burger last night because I watched one of your videos, and then I was like, oh, I feel like a burger now, so I ordered myself a burger.
Where from?
Xbox. Pragas.
You know what? I went past that place so many times and I just wrote it off for no reason.
No, it's quite good. It's been around for a while, to be fair.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I tried that chicken and I was like, this is on par with some of the best chicken that I've had.
Yeah, it's quite good. It was really fresh.
Yeah. My only gripe was I had the COVID screen up and I couldn't hear the girl at all. I'm like, what? But anyway, you probably won't even say anything for this one. What's the most overrated food?
Overrated food? I don't know. Maybe burgers. I don't usually eat, but I used to be obsessed with them. Now I don't. No, sorry. Oh, it's going to be a really controversial one. I'm not into pizza. I'm not big on pizza at all.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Any kind of pizza?
I prefer like more of an Italian pizza as opposed to a desi pizza.
Because it's like a roti? The Italian ones just flop, nice, man. It's nothing.
Yeah, but it's like more authentic, innit? Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Yeah, I hope that's the most controversial thing in my video, and not all the things I've said about culture.
That's mad.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of pizza.
That's terrible. That's a knife and fork pizza. The Italian ones, man. That's not even how you eat a pizza. Okay, so we've got a few questions before we get to wrap up. Okay, so these are serious main questions. So, why is infertility treated like shame?
I think it's just a case. It comes back down to you're not a woman if you can't have kids. You're not a man if you can't have kids. Obviously, like I said to you, that person that you said to my face, why do you want to get married for if you can't have kids? Like as if that's the only reason, your only purpose for being in this world, or your only purpose for trying to marry someone. So I think it's just a case of people don't think you're worthy enough of being a person, and that's it.
Yeah. And why is not wanting kids seen as selfish?
I think people tend to think culturally it's like, oh, they're too career driven, or they're too this, or they're too that, or, whatever. And I think some people, it's just not everyone is made to have children, whether that's infertility or a choice. Yeah. But I spent 6 years working as a children's maths and English tutor. And I would see so many parents coming in and I think, oh, you drop your kid off to school, and then you pick them up just to take them to another place, and it's like, I think people nowadays, and yes, probably very controversial, but if it offends someone, it's probably because they're probably thinking this way, but I think people just have kids for the sake of ticking that box off, saying they've got kids, and then they give their kid to everyone else to look after but them. By the time they get home to the parent, it's like, time for dinner, off you go to bed, and I'll see you tomorrow morning for me to do it all over again. And then I spent some time working as an after school like kind of care as well, caterer. And I just think, oh, these kids, like, they've been at school since like 8-9 in the morning, and they're not getting picked up till 6 o'clock in the evening. they've not had a change of clothes in between, they've not seen their parents. I think it used to really hurt me, and I think people just have paid kids for the sake of saying, oh, I've got children, and that's it. I think in culture it's a case of your life is mapped out from you go to school, then you go to uni, then you get married. Sorry, go to school, go to uni, get a job, get married, have kids. You're not allowed to deviate from that. And it's not something that people say to you. Sometimes they do, to be fair, but it's what they're all thinking. And it's just unfortunate that people just always think this is the way you need to go. And I think some people don't need to have children because based off them as parents or based off their financial situation, whatever it is, but you don't need to have children. If you can't do it, if you're not up to it, don't put yourself through that. Don't put your child through that. Look at all the orphans that are sitting out there, or all the people, all the kids out there that have been abandoned just because their parent actually couldn't parent them. And what has that child done to you, kind of thing. And I think so people are too selfish in their way of thinking.
100%. And
you're about to go and cancel all your child's clubs now, right? And spend some time with them.
No clubs for them. Too many. It costs too much.
No, there you go. Look at that.
Yeah, they're in the house. They're all my wee pals. all my kids. They've all got their wee duties. One of them's got a ritual. If I ask for Pepsi and ice, she has to have the first sip.
That's cute.
Doesn't matter where it is. Even if I'm gasping and I'm pure thirsty, she goes, wait, 1 minute, Dad.
That's cute.
So
that's
funny.
Cute.
Okay, and if Allah writes your story, why do people judge it?
I think because people forget they're going to get judged.
Yeah.
I think it's a case of people don't realise that what they're doing affects so much more than they can imagine. And it just comes back to the whole, they think of what will people say as opposed to what will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, So yeah, I think it's just people forget that they too are going to get judged, and they go based on their ideal way of thinking or their ideal way of life, not realising that life doesn't work that way.
Okay, so if someone feels unseen, unwanted or judged right now, what do you want them to hear and how can you support them?
It's a big question. I would like to think that I could support them, but I think it's a case of, regardless of whatever situation they're going through, I think it's important to know that they're responsible for their own life and their own actions. Can't control other people's, but what you can do is try. So I think stand up for yourself, because no one else is going to stand up for you. Like, the only person that can actually truly stand up for yourself is yourself.
Yeah, true.
And then the more people you stand up against, the more people you actually might bring onto your team of standing up with you. But I think just not thinking that, why me or all this, because that's a bad mindset to have. That's not going to help anyone, and especially it's not going to help yourself.
Yeah.
And you're only going to fuel those other people more if you think, oh, I'm not a good enough person, I can't have kids, I'm not a good person, I'm not worthy. They're going to be like, yeah, you're right. But if you start saying, no, I've got this behind me, I've got that, I've got this, they're going to be like, oh yeah, you're doing amazing, like, keep going. Like, it's about what you put out as well, I think, and just having that faith. And if you're religious, go to your religion. If you're not religious, go back to your religion, that kind of thing. So I think it's just always knowing that you're never truly alone. Allah's always there, but it's about the steps that you take to go back to him.
Yep, 100%. And just let everyone know how they can find you, what they need to do. Yeah,
so in terms of finding Tawakal Matches, we're on Instagram at Tawakal Matches. We've got a website which you can find through our Instagram as well. We've got a TikTok, again, Tawakal Matches. And and you can find my other business too, a little note _
Yep.
We're on Instagram, so yeah.
Yep, nice calligraphy. You do big pieces people can put on the walls?
Yeah. The biggest piece I've done was for a cafe, and it was a 4-foot chalkboard menu. So basically it's the size of me. And then I've done some ground murals as well in the the parks and stuff, and those are about 6-7 foot long and stuff. So yeah, I can basically just write on anything.
Fantastic. Okay, so I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I think it's very brave of you, and more people should not be scared of what people think.
Yeah.
To speak their mind, and I'll help other people, do the same. So That's a wrap on today's episode of the Judge Reviews podcast. Big love to the sponsors keeping the show alive: Steak Lounge and Grill, Halal Kebab House, Mr. Chef and Figo's. And your support lets us keep... I'm having a brain fart. Your support lets us keep shining a light on the superstars. I'm Jay from Judge Reviews, and I'll see you in the next episode.